Hi everyone, thank you very much for watching today's video. So today's video is just following up from my last video. So the last video was really focusing on reducing our vulnerabilities to anxiety. And that's really important. So if you haven't watched it, please give it a look. Because if we don't look at reducing our vulnerabilities, we're going to be consistently in that firefighting state, and that's something we really want to look at reducing. But today's video then is focusing more on when actually anxiety envelops us and it just comes on quite strong. I'm going to give you some tips to deal and manage with that in the moment, okay? What I would like to emphasize before we start getting into these techniques is that it's really important that when it comes to anxiety or just general stress, having a high level of stress, it's really important that we do know what is the core source, what is the cause, what's the root cause of it. And also knowing then what our actual triggers to it are. This is vitally important. So we might look at that in a future video because it can be quite in depth, and it obviously is very varied going from person to person, what the cause might be and what a specific individual's triggers might be. So we're going to go through a couple of different tips. And the first one we're going to start with is a grounding technique. So the grounding technique that we're going to use is what's known as 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very simple technique, but really effective when anxiety comes on. And this is actually tapping into our mindfulness skills. So if you really get into mindfulness, one of the skills of mindfulness is what's known as observe. And to observe anything, we need to use one of our senses. Otherwise, you can't observe it. So when anxiety comes on, we're going to use this technique to bring and reorientate the mind back into the present moment, into our current surroundings, to calm and relax us. And again, by doing that, we're bringing on that kind of parasympathetic nervous system, getting ourselves out of that sympathetic state and reducing the stress that has been pumped into the body in that moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to look and we're going to ask ourselves the first question: what are 5 things that I can see? Now, the most important thing here is that you ask yourself the question and you also answer the question in your mind in a sentence. So for instance, I can see a plant in the room. I can see a 3-headed lamp in the room with copper surround. I can see a cushion in the corner of the room, and that's the color yellow. I can see a stool which has got a wooden top, and I can see a carpet or a rug that has got 4 different colors in it. So 5 things you can see. Now as we go down, we're going through our other senses, and the next sense that we're going to do is look at 4 things I can touch. So what are 4 things I can touch? So I can touch my jumper, I can touch the skin on my hand, I can touch my ears, I can touch this lovely bouncy colourful flip charty thing, I can touch the plant in the room, and that's 4 things I can touch. 3 things I can hear. So it's a bit windy outside at the moment, so I can just slightly hear the wind. I can hear my breath, and I can hear myself speaking. You could also hear, if you're outside obviously, you can hear many different things like the wind, maybe the birds, all of these kind of things. So really trying to tap into that sense of hearing. And again, see what will be taking place for you when you're doing this. You're starting to take away the mind from the anxious thoughts that are driving the anxiety and bring yourself back and relaxing and calming yourself and bringing yourself back into the present moment. The next thing we're going to look at, 2 things I can smell. So I have here, I have a candle in the room, so I can pick up the candle and I can smell the candle. I can also smell, I have certain aftershave on, and I can just slightly smell the aftershave. But you might smell coffee in your coffee cup. You might smell flowers if you're outside. So you're really trying to find, and if you're in some place that maybe you can't smell anything in that moment, try to orientate you somewhere where you can smell something. And the last thing then that we're going to do is we're going to go to one thing I can taste. So if you're at home, obviously you can go and you can get any sort of a thing. If you're out, that might be slightly different. So maybe you're tasting the last thing you've eaten. Maybe you're tasting if you had brushed your teeth. You can gently taste with your tongue the taste of the mint or peppermint toothpaste. And maybe it's just that you have a little sweet or lozenge in your pocket. So whatever it is that you can taste, just one thing you can taste. If you're really struggling with the taste, you can always just taste just the tongue, just even that taste of your tongue on your mouth, okay? So that's 5 things, really good grounding technique for when anxiety comes on strong. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. Okay guys, so my next tip is a very simple practice, but a really, really effective one for reducing stress and reducing anxiety. And it's what's known as the thymus thump. The thymus is what connects the mind with the body. And what we know about people when they're very, very stressed, or maybe they've had traumatic events that have happened within their life, the thymus shrinks. So stimulation of the thymus is shown to relieve and reduce stress, and also to release untrapped emotion within the body. This is really, really effective as well for people that might feel that their anxiety, it's not being triggered by specific thoughts, or maybe something that has happened, maybe it just comes from nowhere. So practicing the thymus thump is a really, really effective way to reduce stress in your life. So it's very, very simple. You can do it with a closed fist or with 3 fingers, whichever you're more comfortable. And all you want to be able to do is hear a tap. So the thymus, if you look at the top of your sternum, there's a notch there. It's down about 1 inch. So this is the sternum and the breastbone, so it's just behind this here. So just around here. So I would do it with a fist and just gently tapping the thymus so you can hear the thump. And breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And what I would do and advise when you're doing this is just adding a little word in your own mind that you would say to yourself when you're practicing it. I'm leaving go of this anxiety. I'm leaving go of this emotion, okay? And you can do that for a few minutes and just do it until you feel that you've relaxed and you've come down back to sort of a normal baseline of emotion where you feel more comfortable and you feel more relaxed. This is also a practice that you can practice on a daily basis. And stimulation of the thymus is also shown to increase our immune system, so strengthen your immune system. It's a really, really good practice. This is something you could do every day. Maybe you could filter it into practicing in the morning or the afternoon, whatever fits better for you, for a couple of minutes each day. And this will really, really help with reducing stress in your life. So hope you find that helpful. Give it a go. Next tip, really simple, but this for me is probably one of the most super effective skills for reducing anxiety in the moment. And this is using cold water or something frozen to bring down the intensity of your emotion, to bring down that level of anxiety, to slow and lower the heart rate. So we'll talk through how we're going to do that. So depending on where you are, whether you're in school, maybe you have to go to the bathroom, whether you're in the supermarket, what you would do is because you wouldn't have that availability to cold water, you would orientate yourself to the frozen section. We'll talk through that in a minute. If you're at home, of course, you can go to the bathroom sink, you can go to the kitchen sink, or you can go to the freezer to take out a bag of frozen peas or ice out of there. So very simply what you're doing, if we're using the cold water, think about a time when you're really, really anxious, that anxiety has really kicked in, it's very strong. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to the tap, turn on the cold water, you're going to run it over your wrists, so both your wrists, and you're going to pair this with paced breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. So nice deep breaths, nice long in breath and a big exhale. And you're going to do that initially for 30 to 60 seconds before you find it starts working. And you can do that for a few minutes until you find that you've calmed down and you've relaxed and that level of anxiety has reduced, okay? So that's using cold water. If it is, you can also use it. You don't have to use the cold water. You could go to your freezer, you could take out a bag of frozen peas or some other product that's frozen in there, and just place it at either the side of your neck, the side of your face, or on the back of your neck. And it's the exact same idea. What you're doing is taking a few pace breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And what you can always do when you're pairing this with breathing is add 2 words onto that breathing practice. Breathing in, calm. Breathe out, relax. Okay, so using the frozen peas or some other frozen product, placing it on the side of your neck, which I would prefer if it was me doing it, or on the back of your neck, and pair that with pace breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Okay, and if you're out and about and you're in somewhere like the supermarket, what you could do, because you wouldn't obviously have availability to either of those things, is you could orientate yourself to the frozen section in the supermarket, and even by just opening the freezer and standing over that and taking a few pace breaths and doing the exact same thing, you look at bringing down the intensity of the emotion. If you feel comfortable, obviously you could take that out. You could place it on the neck. It might not be the most appropriate thing. Okay guys, so that's it. And what we know by doing this is we're slowing down the heart rate, where the heart rate normally speeds up when we're getting very, very anxious. And also the cold reorientates you back into the present moment. So 3 helpful tips. Please start practicing, start implementing, and try to practice one of these a day at least if you have anxiety. And each of these obviously is sometimes more appropriate to different types of situations. So it's repeating the process, and just remember, every new learning process starts with discomfort and confusion, and sometimes we have to look at embracing that, and that's really, really what's important. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you hear, please like and share the video, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you very much.